Hello all, welcome to Oracle Fusion Hub's SOA tutorials. Um, Today I am going to show you how to create a file adapter with a basic mediator. Um, we are going to work on a web service which is pointing to the end user, and then or you're going to expose the web service, and the web service will have a mediator which routes the request, and finally whatever that you give to that web service, it is going to write to a file system. So this is what is um, going to what we are going to achieve in today's tutorial. So in order to do that, um, the basic requirements. So we are going to have, for each particular task, we need XSDs or the schema files. So let's say we are going to create or expose a service as a web service. What do you want the end user to give us? So for that, we are going to have a pivot.xsd for this particular web service, and we are going to have a internal order.xsd for the file system that we are going to have. So in the pivot.xsd, I have this is my schema definition, and it has customer ID, product name, item type, price, quantity, status, CC type, CC number. So this is basically my XSD diagram, and I'm going to pause for a little, or you can pause the video for a little and then look through the XSD, and then try to type it down on your own, and save it as a pao.xsd file. I'm not going to give you the XSD files, because the moment when you start writing the schema files, then you get to learn many other things that you might miss when you just simply copy paste the XSD documents. So this is going to be my pivot.xsd file, and so basically the user or the any other service that is calling this particular web service should give uh, these details: the cost ID, the product name, the item type, the price, and stuff like that. And I am going to convert whatever that I get as an input to another schema definition, or in another form, and write it to the file system, and that is going to be my internal, that is going to be defined in my internal order.xsd. So if I go to internal order.xsd, I have created, so my element name is order and the type is order type, and that order type, this is the complex definition, which is again customer ID, order ID. Only thing is I haven't named the elements in the same way. So if you see here, it's cust ID here, but if you go here, it's customer ID and all. So stuff like that. This is how I'm going to have my definition or the form when I write it to the file system. So, and I also have pivot to internal orders dictionary.xml, in which I have mapped the synonyms. So let's say here you have cust ID and here you have customer ID. So how does the SOA application come to know that both these cust ID and customer ID as the same object, same element? How does it know? For this, we have created a pivot to internal orders dictionary.xml, where we have defined the synonyms. So a word, and under a word you have three synonyms. So first one is product name, prod name, and the second one is product name, and the third one is product. All these are similar. Okay, so you can create a dictionary like this, or you can define, or you can map these cust ID to customer ID manually at the time of XSLT transformations that you do. So anything is fine, but I mean, if you want things to be a little bit automated and all, then you have to use this particular dictionary. So, so without any delay, we will start with working on the creating the composite application and all. And before that, make sure that you have your both admin server and SOA server running. Okay, the health is okay. Then this is fine. And when you are logging into the enterprise manager, you have to see the SOA infra here. This is 12C, so when you use 11G, things will be a little different, but you will come to know the similarities. So everything is fine. So now I go here, I go to my JDeveloper, and I'm going to create a new application. And my application would be SOA application. And I'm going to write it as PO processing. Click on next. Oh, it is already there. I will write it as PO processing 01, and my project name is PO processing 01, and the project feature has SOA suite. And I'm going to create an empty composite right now, and then we can change it later. Finish. It's going to create a SOA application for me. Okay, my SOA application has been created, and I'm going to create a SOAP service as of now, and I'm going to call this as PO request, or I'll say request PO, and my WSDL will be based on the schema, my schema, which is PO.xsd. So I need to have that. This is going to be a one-way interface, and I don't have enough juice on my RAM memory, so it will be a bit slow. So this is going to be a one-way interface, because we are going to simply call this particular web service, and the web service is not going to return as anything. So I'm going to create an input message, and I'm going to call this as PO input payload, and my URL will be a schema file. So I'm going to import a schema file, and my schema file is in Oracle schemas and PO.xsd. This is going to be my schema file, and I'm not going to maintain the original directory structure here. So I got my PO.xsd imported. So I'm going to use this particular PO order. The other one that you see is a mere type, so I'm not going to use that. So I'm going to use the purchase order, which is this purchase order, this element, which is the combination of everything. So I'm going to click OK, and the schema element would be purchase order. I'm going to click OK. And since this is a one-way interfaces are normally called as fire and forget. So I'm going to fire this and then forget. I don't need a response for that. So I'm not going to create anything else. So if I click OK, I'll get this. And if I click OK, so I have a request PO um, as an exposed SOAP service. Save this, and now I'm going to create a file adapter. And here, you come here, there is this file adapter here. So drag and drop into the external references and call it as uh, write PO details. Click next. So I'm going to define the interface from operational schema. So I'm going to do a definition later. Click next. And file server JNDA. So I need to look at what my integrated WebLogic server or the external WebLogic server has. So let me see what I have. In EIS, if I look at here, I'm going to have a file server that I created earlier. So it should be under EIS. Let me quickly search for the file adapter. It turns out to be that I can use the same EAS file adapter, so I haven't defined anything as of now. So just go to the next button, and then I'm going to write to the file here. So my operation will be write, and we are going to discuss various options here and all in a subsequent tutorial. This tutorial is to give you a basic understanding of how to use a file adapter. So click next, and what is going to be my output directory. So I can use my output directory as something like this particular directory, and this is going to be my outgoing files directory. This is a physical path, and then the file naming convention that I'm going to write is OFA underscore PO underscore %. So when you click a %, you will have various details here: sequence, or month and date, or hours, minutes and seconds, milliseconds. So these are the things that you can use to write to a file. So I'm going to use sequence right now and .txt. So every time a new file is getting created in this particular directory, it will be OFA PO underscore 1.txt for the first time, and then the second one would be PO underscore 2 and all. So instead of txt, I'll put it as XML for now, because that will be easy for me to open and read the files. So click on next. So what will be my schema? So I'm going to define my schema from the I'm going to browse this for schema file. So right now you have only po.xsd, so I'm going to import my schema file, which is internal order, which is nothing but this internal order. So I'm going to select order and then click OK. You have the schema as order, and then click next. You have finished the file adapter. So you have exposed a web service, you have a reference file adapter, and the only missing part in the whole picture is a mediator. So put a mediator here, and map the input definition to the outgoing definition so that the gap is filled. So I'm going to write this as root request, and right now I'm going to define the interface later. So interface, defining the interfaces is very pretty simple actually in this case. So you come to the request pivot, select, click on this arrow button, and then drag it to the root request. So an interface will be automatically defined. And the same way, come here, click on this arrow button and drag it to the other arrow button of the file adapter. So now you have an endpoint, you have a source and you have a target. So the only thing that you need to do is map the attribute values, elements from the source to the target, and your work is done. So in order to do that, click on root request mediator, and then now you have an interface, I mean a accessibility transformation that you have to do here. So click on this particular task, transform using, and you have a transformation button. So click on this, and right now you don't have a mapper file. So what you need to do is you have to create a mapping. So here you can give the default file name as purchase order to order1.xsl and the directory. So click on OK, and then a mapper will be defined. So this is going to be your XSL file. Now here you right click on this particular area, and here you will see all these variables. So I'm going to click on auto map preference, and here you will have to I mean there is no dictionary right now, so what you have to do is you have a dictionary that is in place. So just click on add button and go to that dictionary and add it. Lab material. So you have your dictionary here, which is this one, and add it. And now you have to click OK, and somehow in 12c the dictionary is not automatically populated, so we will see to it later, but right now you can actually do a manual transformation, which is this cust ID you can directly map to customer ID, and this ID you can directly map to order ID, this product name, item type, price is going to be this price, quantity is going to be this quantity, then status is going to be this status, and for CC type you have a card type here, and for CC number you have a card number here. So this is going to be my mapper. So we have successfully created a mapping between the source, which is purchase order, and then the target, which is order. So successfully we have mapped it. Save it, and then your composite is ready. Now the only thing that you do right now is deploy this. So right click on PO processing and deploy, and if you have already a default deployment profile, you can use that. If you want to know more about the deployment profiles, you can refer back to my earlier tutorial on where I was creating a basic composite and deploying it to the WebLogic server. So I'm going to deploy it to the application server right now, and right now I don't have a configuration plan. We'll discuss configuration plans and all in a subsequent tutorial. So mark composite, override any existing composite with the same revision ID, So my revision ID is 1.0. I can make it 1.1 or anything, right? But I don't have to do right now. So click next, and then I'm going to move it to my external application server that I've created. So click next, and it's going to look up for the SOA servers. I have one SOA server. Click next, and then click finish. And you can see the progress in your build. So I'm going to pause this video for a little while till I get my deployment done. It will take some time for me to do that. So my application has been deployed to my WebLogic server. So PO processing 01, that's my deployed composite for now. I'm going to open that and let us test it. So you have request PO and the right PO details. So I'm going to test this, and so my input payload I'm going to give, so 11 and 2222 13333. Product name is test OFA part 1. Item type tutorial. Price 100. Quantity 1. Status and say ordered. And the CC type would be Visa. And CC number 1212 1212 1212 1212. And click on test, and here you go. You have OFA PO underscore 1 dot XML, and if you see the results are a little bit clumsy here, so I'm going to open it. So the customer ID is 2222, customer order ID is 3333, prod name is test OFA1, tutorial 100, everything. So you've got a XML and everything looks fine. So this is how you're going to use a file adapter to write anything. Like if you want to log some data to it, to a file server, or you're going to give some transactional data to the other system, you can always use a file adapter to do that. That's it for the tutorial. Thank you.